The world has changed. America has changed. If something were to happen tomorrow, how self-sufficient would you be? Could you grow your own food? Could you sustain your own livestock? Could you survive? This is the WeGrowOurs show with Nick and Don. Nick and Don talk about everything from politics to planting. They cover techniques, methods, and tips on how to not only survive, but thrive. Visit the website at WeGrowOurs.com. Lock and load. This is the WeGrowOurs show. Get your grow on.
Welcome back to the WeGrowOurs show. Gotta say, I'm flying solo yet again. Don dropping the ball. Just kidding. He's got a kid in a parkour competition, so parkour's pretty cool. I wish I could be there to check it out, but I'm here talking to you all four of you. Just kidding. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity to go over rabbits, since that's kind of what I do mostly. My whole focus has been controlling my own food supply. Control what you eat from seed to meat has been the tagline. And for a lot of people out there, we don't have a quarter acre plus. We don't have acres of land. My little backyard is like 75 by 50, somewhere around there. It's on 1/10 of an acre, itty bitty little place. And I don't know. I think that rabbits are the way to start. And so we'll get into that. I'll give a little bit of my Rabbits 101 class. And so all of you listening, you get a $15 value just for listening to the radio. Congratulations, you're a winner. Anyway, so starting off, why rabbits? Like I said, they're HOA friendly. They live in a very small space. They're great. So they're very efficient. They're efficient on space as well as on feed. It costs about 9 pounds of feed for every 1 pound of beef that you produce. So with rabbits, you give me 9 pounds of feed, I'll produce 6 pounds of rabbit. Now, those numbers vary a little bit depending on the moisture content of your feed and things like that, but on average, dry weight, that's how it works out. Efficient on space. In 36 square feet, I can raise 36 square feet, I can raise 1,250 pounds of rabbit a year. And in a little bit more space, you give me, in 36 square feet, there was 5,700 pounds of rabbit. In 6 square feet, I can do 1,250. Anyways, the numbers get a little bit bothersome there. And that's off of 4 to 6 ounces of feed per rabbit per day. That's, if you're buying rabbit feed, that's 7 cents per serving. 50-pound bag gives you about 200 servings. HOA friendly. Rabbits cannot be heard or smelled if they are cleaned up. Rabbits are prey animal. Everything in the wild kingdom eats rabbit, so they don't want to be seen or smelt. And they don't make a whole lot of noise because they don't want to draw in predators. And they're very low maintenance. At one point, I had, it was 1,600 head, which is 128 breeding females, 16 males, and their babies from last month and this month, which 700 babies a month, that's roughly about 1,600 head on average I had. And it was taking me 30 minutes a night to feed them and clean everything up. And then Saturdays I would have their breeding sessions, and that would take maybe 2 hours in the morning, and they were good to go. So I was maintaining a full-time job and producing 3,500 pounds of rabbit a month. Very, very low maintenance. And rabbits are a funny animal. They can either be completely left alone, where they don't really grow to like you petting them, and then you could also train them to like you. So, if you're pulling them out, putting them in your lap and petting and scratching their ears, they get used to it, and then they start wanting it. So, depends on how hands-on you want to be. Because I'll tell you, half an hour to feed and breed everybody, feed and clean everybody in an evening, that's without reaching in and petting everybody and scratching ears and stuff. I had a few does that I swear they wouldn't eat until I reached in and scratched their ears. Kind of funny. But anyway, so another reason is health reasons. Their percentage of protein is higher than any of the acceptable food, the acceptable meats on the market. For example, chicken is just under 20%. Rabbit is at 21.5% protein content. That means that half a pound of rabbit will give you 75 grams of protein per year. So, or excuse me, per day. So if you eat half a pound of rabbit a day, you're getting all the protein you need if your diet requires 75 grams. Now, if you're a muscle builder and looking at 300 grams of protein, well, you just eat another half a pound in the evening. You're good to go. Or 2 or 3. Percentage of fat is also very low. It's under 10%, whereas chicken is just slightly over 10%. Lamb is up there around 25%. And, of course, good old-fashioned pork is at 45% percentage of fat. Cholesterol is also really low. We don't have to go through all of these, though. It's just a real healthy, lean meat. So speaking of the numbers there, you need to determine the size of your rabbitry. So the questions are, how many people are you feeding? How often do you want to eat rabbit? And how much space, time, and money are you willing to dedicate to this endeavor? So how many people are you feeding? One breeding female, pushed to her limits, will produce 320 pounds of rabbit per year. That's breeding her every 45 days, and if she's averaging 64 babies a year, that'd be 8 kits per kindle and 8 times per year. So she can produce a lot of meat. How often do you want to eat rabbit? Now, some people have worked out that they have a cow or a steer or something that they want to put in the freezer, some pigs, goat meat, any of those things. And if you have that worked into your homestead, you don't have to plan on eating rabbit every day. But, like I said, that 320 pounds of live weight per year is great, but you're going to wear out your dough kind of fast. So if you want to give her a break, you have something else in there or increase the number of rabbits that you have. So, bare minimum, I would have 1 breeding female per member of the household, even if you have other sources of meat. And then 1 buck will breed up to 16 females. I run them at about 8 females to 1 buck. That way he remembers their names. Don't want awkward situations. Anyway, I don't know if that happens amongst rabbits, but if I forget a girl's name, it's really bad. So I don't want to put my buck through that. Also, how much space, time, and money are you willing to dedicate to it? Now, they are very efficient. They are very prolific. They are great livestock to have. But you're gonna invest in the startup. You're looking at about $100 to $150 per animal, not buying the animal, but all of the equipment needed and everything. So if you have 6 rabbits, you're going to need 6 cages. And, if you're buying the cages from me, usually if I have rabbits on hand, I give them with the cages. Let's see. Also, if you're living in a little apartment in the middle of downtown Phoenix, yes, it's possible to raise 1,250 pounds of rabbit a year, but I don't always recommend it. So you're going to have to dedicate some space to your endeavor. And if you're one of those guys that's working, a 9 to 5 and then driving forever a night and you've got nobody to back you up, you're going to want a smaller rabbitry than what I had. Anyway, breed selection. There are lots and lots and lots of rabbits out there. And I'm not going to go through all of the breeds and their various awesomeness stats. I've basically, when it comes to meat rabbits, I've put them into 2 categories. That's the large and fast and the small and round. The large and fast group are your Palominos, the New Zealand Whites, American Blues, and the like. These rabbits, they'll get up to 5 pounds in about 8 to 10 weeks, and they get there fast. Now, their meat to bone ratio is a little bit skewed towards the waist side. But, so when, let's see, we're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. If you have any questions about raising rabbits or anything that we've talked about before, you can give us a call at 602-277-5369. And, this is, the WeGrowOurs show. And if you've got any questions, give us a call. So join us right after the break, and we'll finish discussing breed selection.
Things just got real. The drugstore is closed and the doctor is unavailable. What are you going to do? Stock your medicine cabinet and bug out bag with Nature's Alternative essential oils. Visit mylavenderlife.com for all your essential oil needs.
What will you do when your stored supplies run out? Are you prepared? Hostile Hair provides equipment and education you need to control your own infinite food supply. We have live food storage systems for rabbits, quail, and other urban livestock for any situation and strategy. Don't be limited by what's on the shelves. Get started with an infinite food source today. Get prepped, stay fed with Hostile Hair. Call 480-331-3761, 480-331-3761, or visit hostilehair.com.
Lock and load. This is the WeGrowOurs show.
Welcome back to the WeGrowOurs show. Today we are discussing Rabbits 101. And before the break, we talked a little bit about breed selection, determining the size of your rabbitry, why you should get into rabbits in the first place. And, of course, where we were left off was the large and fast group of rabbits, which is the ones that get up to about 5 pounds in 8 weeks. And that's birth to butcher right there. Very efficient on time. It doesn't take a whole lot to get your numbers up. There's a saying in the meat industry that if you want to raise 1,000 pounds of meat, you get a steer. If you want to raise 10,000 pounds of meat, you get some rabbits. They do a heck of a lot better job. This is coming from a cattle guy originally, so I've got clout, man. Anyway, I have broken it down to 2 different groups. You've got the large and fast group and also the small and round group. Well, we talked about the large and fast. The small and round are more of the Californians, the Champagnes, and the Rexes. And these guys are really awesome when it comes to meat to bone ratio. But they don't grow as fast as the New Zealand Whites and the large and fast group. They get to about 3.5 pounds in the 8 weeks. But they get fat just looking at food. I think I belong to this group. But anyway, we just had a guest join us. We've got the awesome Morganic in studio now. Oh, so we're talking a little bit about rabbits. So Morgan, have you eaten rabbit before?
I have.
You have eaten rabbit. Did you like it?
I loved it.
Oh, technical difficulties.
It's lean and delicious.
Lean and delicious. That's what I like to hear. See, my problem is it's super lean and delicious, but I end up wrapping it in bacon. So the lean part goes out the window, and I'm left with awesome. But anyway. Savory. That's right. And what's funny that we're actually at the point where I talk a little bit about housing choices in raising rabbits. And one of the issues that's out there is housing is really expensive for rabbits. And the pet stores, they have these hutches that are like $170, and they're made out of wood, and they're like moving back and forth. And so when I saw that, I mean, when I first got into raising rabbits, I was buying every hutch that I could on Craigslist, and I was going broke saving money. And they're selling them for like $20 a piece, and I soon learned why. When you put wood next to a rabbit, they're going to chew the heck out of it. And so basically he bought him a $170 chew toy. And you just throw him a 2x4. They'd be just as happy. They'd be happier. But anyway, so why don't we take a break from the Rabbits 101 discussion and move on to our fabulous guest that we have in today, who was transportationally challenged, I take it?
It involved bikes. Riding. Then loading the bike into a truck, which defeats the purpose. You can't ride a bike to Phoenix from Tempe.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hike.
Manner.
It's a bit of a hike. It's funny. I used to be a thinner man, and in those days, I was riding a bicycle. Maybe I should start again. But we rode 50 miles for like a scout thing, and never again.
No.
Never again. That was like. I don't enjoy it that much. I mean, a bicycle to like the park to hang out with friends, yeah, sure.
You would need like a pillow to be securely fastened upon your seat.
Oh, no. Yeah, I didn't want to go there, but since you brought it up, yes, pain. Lots of pain. It was bad. Anyway, so I commend those that ride bicycles and the brave ones that endure the roads and the craziness, and that's you, I guess.
I'm one of those.
Oh,
They
you're
were
so
Tour de
brave.
Tempe.
Tour de Tempe.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't know of these things. I should subscribe to more healthy groups on Facebook. My groups are like, how to get fat in 3 days or less. And,
Rabbit and bacon.
Rabbit and bacon. That's right. We have cantaloupe. They say it's very healthy, but we're going to wrap it in bacon and see if we can change that. Anyway, speaking of traveling, was that a good segue? Did I do that okay? No? Worked on that?
Fancy.
Yeah.
Smooth.
How about this one? Speaking of New Zealand whites, there you go. See,
There we go.
we recently we had Morganic in before her trip to New Zealand, and now we're going to do the follow-up, and she's going to teach us all of the awesomeness that she learned over there. Ready, set, go.
Oh,
No, just
mate. It was quite a trip.
Yeah?
That's as much New Zealand accent I could throw down.
But it was
Everyone
good.
told me I sounded like a drunk English person.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd say that's an accomplishment.
They were not impressed at all
That's
by my
funny.
Kiwi accent.
That is awesome. So you went over there. Now, a little bit of a follow-up. Who are you and what do you do?
Cool. So my name is Morgan Coffinger. I'm the founder of Bokashi Evolution. That is a Tempe-based startup business that educates, provides Arizona with an all-natural compost accelerant and kits as well so that you can ferment your food scraps. Doesn't require any water, no turning. You can add meat and dairy products as well. So it's a perfect solution for Arizona.
That is pretty awesome. And I like the no water added. It just uses
too.
the stuff that's already, the moisture that's already in your food scraps, right?
Exactly.
Beautiful. Now, you have some products online. I'm talking about the one that looks just like a 5-gallon bucket. Let me know what comes in that, and like what can our customers expect, or our listeners, if they order that?
It's a bucket of magic and
Magical
gold
bucket.
and rainbows and handmade bokashi.
Awesome.
So as you were quick to assess, it is a simple 5-gallon bucket. It's not advanced technology that is for the few and the many are left struggling. It's a 5-gallon bucket. It's a white bucket, food grade bucket that anyone can find themselves with an airtight lid.
Perfect.
Inside this bucket, you will find a 2-month supply of bokashi and instructions on how to ferment all of your food scraps. And I mean the spaghetti that's in the back of the refrigerator and the cheese.
Scary spaghetti.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
And like the moldy cheese and the bread. However, you wouldn't add tons of moldy items to your bucket, but pretty much anything that would ever go into your mouth would go into the bucket. And you ferment it, you pickle it, and then you bury it in your garden bed, and you can grow directly on top of it within 30 days.
Nice.
Fast.
That is pretty cool. Now, I remember our discussion from before. There's actually a type of alcohol that's produced in the process. And does that stay there the whole time, or is there something else that consumes that alcohol, or does it go away once you open it up?
It goes away the second you open the buckets. You'll get a nice little whiff of an alcohol-based gas, which is called ester, not to be confused with ether.
Okay.
Ester.
Ester. Not as fun.
Not as fun.
Not as fun. Can't
Can't
put it
use
on
it
a
in-
rag and get a date. Oh, did I say that out loud? Did I just get kind of creepy? I mean, we are in a padded room, so, you know, I'm right at home.
You've also made a rabbit droppings flame gun.
Yes, the rabbit poop powered flamethrower. It's
You're
one
on
of my.
TV.
Yeah, I'm kind of a big deal. Radio show hosts on Sunday afternoons. I mean, that's the epitome of success right there. You know, I've
nailed
made
it.
I've made it.
Bow down to this man.
Please do. Anyway, but no, I am interested in flammable things, and that's why I always bring that up, because I want to be able to replicate that procedure. Now, let's talk a little bit more about that. We'll get to the trip in a little bit, but I'm fascinated with the idea that you've got it completely closed, airtight, and it supplies everything that it needs just from the garbage and the magical bag of rainbows and whatever you put into the bokashi.
Bokashi is simply a carbon source, beneficial bacteria, also known as EM1 or effective microorganisms. And that is a OMRI approved microbial liquid solution that has been used to reduce radioactivity after Fukushima. It's been used to clean up, let's say after Katrina, oil spills.
Okay, so it will consume petroleum-based products.
Absolutely. It loves toxins. It loves pollutants. It loves odor-causing bacteria.
Wow. That is cool.
Thank you, Earth.
Yes, exactly. So now I've been playing around with a few ideas on rabbit cages and how I can make them more effective. One of the things I was thinking about doing is a black soldier fly composter underneath of it, a self-cleaning setup to digest the waste and turn it into plant food. But then I got looking at your bucket, and I was thinking about integrating this style into composting rabbit manure, which rabbit manure is good to go on the garden already, but if you've got enough rabbits, you're going to run out of garden space for all the poop that they produce. So I'm wondering, if there were new oxygen introduced into the system, would that throw it off?
No.
No?
No. You can continuously add product to the bucket until you reach the state of, oh, my bucket's full, or, I'm done with this bucket. I just want to pickle it and be done with it. So you get to determine.
So you load the bucket and then add the stuff, and then the 2-week cycle starts. Actually,
as you add product, you would then add bokashi. So it's kind of a layering effect.
I get it. Okay.
And it's a very small amount. However, since we're dealing with rabbit poo, I would, use maybe double the amount.
Double the amount. Okay. Okay.
If you're concerned with...
It's okay.
Smell.
We can keep talking. We've got 30 seconds, so we'll finish that thought. If you're concerned with smell, what were you going to say?
Add more bokashi. Never add too much bokashi.
Nice. All right. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit about the nice New Zealand trip.
Things just got real. The drugstore is closed and the doctor is unavailable. What are you going to do? Stock your medicine cabinet and bug out bag with nature's alternative, essential oils. Visit mylavenderlife.com for all your essential oil needs.
What will you do when your stored supplies run out? Are you prepared? Hostile Hair provides equipment and education you need to control your own infinite food supply. We have live food storage systems for rabbits, quail, and other urban livestock for any situation and strategy. Don't be limited by what's on the shelves. Get started with an infinite food source today. Get prepped, stay fed with Hostile Hair. Call 480-331-3761, 480-331-3761, or visit hostlehair.com.
Lock and load. This is the WeGrowOurs show.
Welcome back to the WeGrowOurs show. We've got an in-studio guest, minus Dawn. Yeah, no Dawn today, but that's okay. The one who replaced him is definitely prettier.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, that's not saying much. It's Dawn. I mean, come on.
Dawn, I'm in a pink tutu, so I totally beat you.
Okay, the only way Dawn can recover from this is if he wears a pink tutu next time we record. Wait, I did something horrible. I don't want him to do that. No, please don't. Okay, apparently we want that, so let's do it.
I'll leave it for him.
Oh, gosh. But then I've got a dang pink tutu that's going to be floating around in my truck, and my wife's going to be like, what the hell is this?
Red flag!
Oh my gosh, train of thought derailed. Well, if you're tuning in to listen to a serious radio show on how to grow your own food, you are mistaken, friendos. We are not serious here. We, life's got to be, this is serious stuff. You need to grow your own food. You need to take control of what you eat. You need to do all that stuff. You need to be independent. But you know what? Have a good time doing it. Don't be square. This is not doom and gloom hour at the WeGrowOurs show. So we have a lovely guest in. I refer to her always as Morganic because that's the awesomest name ever. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Morgan Coffinger. Sometimes I go by Morgan Lulu, Morganic. I love to compost my food scraps.
There you go.
And that's what I teach people how to do with a waterless style of composting that doesn't require any turning. There's no harmful odor. You can add meat, dairy, fish, cheese. All of that can go into a bucket, and it's perfect for our desert climate.
Nice. I love that. Now, when we talked a little bit before, you slightly mentioned keep off of the super moldy stuff, and that's probably because mold and bacteria do battle.
They go into hardcore battle.
Yeah, we don't need that. In fact, if you remember, penicillin and all of its derivatives are mold-based, and they go into your system and they kill bacteria. So just remember that. There's like little sword battles between them. That's how I personified the situation. Anyway, back to you. So you recently did an expedition out to the land down under, well, a neighbor of Australia, New Zealand. Mm-hmm. So what did you learn? What did you do?
It was super awesome.
Inform us.
So I went to New Zealand because they have this huge bokashi food waste recycling movement. And in college, I studied grassroots movements. And when I realized that New Zealand was the first country in the world to pass a zero waste policy, I said, aha, there was a successful grassroots movement there. I must go and see it. And I had been already in contact with a bokashi manufacturer, Mr. Bokashi, a.k.a. the fabulous Neville Burt.
Neville Burt.
And he said...
Coolest name ever. Neville.
Neville.
Yeah.
Morgan, come on down. There's so much to see.
Yeah?
That's a really bad accent.
Apparently drunken English level.
My gosh. Been drinking water all day, Nick.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
So he said, come on down. There's actually... So I had painted this beautiful picture in my head where there were a bunch of Morgans in the world that are like, oh, I love bokashi composting, and let's rally around, and we're going to create legislation, and we're going to get it passed, and the whole island in the Pacific will then become zero waste. And he said, Morgan, that's pretty true. I mean, that is our intention, however, we're not there. Mm-hmm. But at least we have legislation with some teeth. So it's gone from the bottom to the top, and now it's being filtered back down to the bottom. So from the top, here you have these outlets where funding can go to support waste minimization efforts. And the legislation I'm referring to is the Waste Minimization Act of 2008.
So it's taken them a good, 7 years? Mm-hmm. So in 7 years they've gotten this. This is something. You look at our history. We never do anything fast. It took during the 40s. That was the use it up and throw it away era here in the U.S. And then even towards the end of the 60s, we're still seeing it. And it wasn't until the 80s that we were even like super going green, if you will, was mainstream. Now, I'm not a go greenist, but I do believe in not pooping where you sleep. Just saying,
Wow.
Take care.
I thought you were one of those.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't be a bunny hugger considering my professions. But there's ways to do things that you can help the earth. We are stewards of this earth. This is our job to take care of it. It's not somebody else's responsibility. It's ours. So we want to do these things. We want to be able to grow our own food, and I think this is the answer. So what did you see when you're on the island, when you're trudging through all all of the awesome decomposing matter. I just see you in a canoe just like going through this saying, man, this is awesome. I don't know. I could be wrong.
It was absolutely stunning. I mean, think of Lord of the Rings. Yes, I saw landscapes that looked just like that.
Oh, man. My nerd meter's going off. I love that. And I'm like, I want to ask you about that stuff, but let's keep it on topic. So the landscape is awesome.
It was magical. Absolutely magical. You know, I got on top of Franz Josef Glacier and Fox Glacier.
Oh, wow.
And these are spectacular landscapes that really put into perspective. These are the Southern Alps. So we're looking at these huge ice caps, and they're radically being diminished.
Really?
I mean, I had women that were next to me. They're like, I was here. They were probably like in their 70s, 80s. They're like, I was here 10 years ago, and it looked incredibly different. The ice was way closer to us. It's retreated, 50 feet, 100 feet.
Wow.
It's changing so quickly. However, the Earth's climate changes very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it just puts into perspective that as much as we're changing and adapting, so is the Earth.
Yeah.
Everything's changing constantly. And so when I talk to the people specifically in in Christchurch, they had been really, really devastated by the earthquakes of 2010 and 2011. And coming away from that situation, it really hit home to me that tragedy occurred and it woke them up. So when the earthquakes hit, it launched buildings, a few feet into the air, and sludge, slurry, mud, water, debris, all from the Earth's crust also got launched up as well. And these buildings came back down onto this sludge, slurry material. Internet was wiped out. No
internet.
No internet.
Oh, poop.
Electricity. The grocery stores were wiped out. I mean, it really put into perspective, wow, if we don't have food in our grocery stores, where are we getting it?
There you go. So it made an entire island of preppers in like 1.3
Oh, absolutely.
seconds.
And not to mention hundreds of people died. I mean, in each of the earthquakes,
cow.
over 100 people died in each scenario. And so one of the places that I visited, it was a urban community garden that had arisen from the debris from the center of the city in Christchurch, and it's called the Agropolis. And in a 360-degree view, you see destruction, demolition, and construction going on at the same time around you. And here you're looking at food that's being grown in the city center, because that was one of the biggest concerns for the people in the city, is if something like this were to occur, the odds are very high. What are we going to do next? And here's this place of food. And they're actually taking food scraps from the restaurants nearby, using Bokashi composting techniques, and transferring all of that deliciousness back into the soil to grow huge amounts of food.
Awesome. Oh man, that is so cool. I think we're stuck in a paradigm here. There's been a couple of times that I've wanted to work with like certain homeless shelters. And I go in and I try and present an idea of like livestock integration, composting, and gardening. And the people that are in there, they're like, oh yeah, let's freaking do it. Oh man, this is awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I talk to them a week later and they're just beaten to a pulp by policy and regulations and all this stuff. There's a arbitrary law that says that prisoners can't produce their own food. They can't have a garden in a prison to produce food for the prison, which I know that's not to do with homeless people, but we have these laws like that, and it's just crazy. But anyways, when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit more about this stuff and more. So stay tuned.
Things just got real. The drugstore is closed and the doctor is unavailable. What are you going to do? Stock your medicine cabinet and bug out bag with nature's alternative, essential oils. Visit mylavenderlife.com for all your essential oil needs.
What will you do when your stored supplies run out? Are you prepared? Hostile Hair provides equipment and education you need to control your own infinite food supply. We have live food storage systems for rabbits, quail, and other urban livestock for any situation and strategy. Don't be limited by what's on the shelves. Get started with an infinite food source today. Get prepped, stay fed with Hostile Hair. Call 480-331-3761, 480-331-3761, or visit hostlehair.com.
Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our show.
And we're back with the lovely Morganic.
Woohoo!
Previously, we're talking about a trip to New Zealand and composting poop, which is pretty fun for me. I'm kind of a... Oh, man, I almost said I'm a poop guy. I don't know if I can say... Yeah, I built a flamethrower that runs on poops. That makes me a poop guy. Just not the creepy... Oh, gosh. I'm just digging into this hole deeper and deeper. I hate it.
Speaking of holes, you can bury your food scraps in a
There
hole.
you go.
You know what, doggone it? You're absolutely right.
There, segue of the century right there. Thank you much. From the girl in the pink tutu.
The Jamaican fanny pack.
Fanny packs. That's awesome. I'm taking a picture of this.
Please do.
This is going to be awesome. Anyways, who are you and what do you do?
Who is your daddy? What does he do?
Of course we went to Arnold.
So my name is Morgan, a.k.a. Morganic, and I teach people how to ferment their food scraps in a water-efficient manner here in Arizona. It's the perfect way to increase your yields with using very little water.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, where can people find you? Yes, website.
You're so good.
Yeah.
My website is www.bokashieevolution.com. Bokashi is spelled Bokash. I am Batman.
Awesome. So, you just came back from New Zealand, and New Zealand's awesome, land of Lord of the Rings, and it's cool because this is one of the first places where they've had laws passed for zero waste, and they're kind of the tip of the spear on this movement, if you will, or they've provided us with a good example. So give us a little bit of a recap of what we've talked about for those just tuning in.
So New Zealand has really, really paved the way in regards to understanding waste and waste recycling. And as it's very typical of people that live on islands to be very aware of that, because they don't have sprawling deserts to dump their food scraps.
I'll just put it out of sight there, dear.
Yeah. So they're aware. And that's where the Waste Minimization Act of 2008 came into play. And it was really led by citizens who felt passionate about recycling their food scraps. And they pressured their lawmakers into passing this legislation. And from there, having the legislation, they were able to, kind of give teeth to the movement and be able to redirect funds for waste minimization education. So oftentimes, I met with the coolest people in the world.
Of course.
Oh my gosh, they're everywhere. These women, and they traditionally were women. They were corporate consultants. They would talk to large corporations about their waste and show them how to reduce their waste. But then they all ended up going back to the schools, the public school system, and now they're waste educators. And they teach at pep assemblies, and they teach Bokashi composting. And when people tell me that Bokashi composting isn't easy, I tell them, well, I just saw preschoolers do it in New Zealand after tea time. I think you can do it.
Wait a minute, they have tea time in preschool?
In preschool.
Oh, wow. That's raising your kids right there. I love it. That's cool. So we're on KFNX right here, Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. If you have questions about composting, now's the time, folks. Please call in at 602-277-5369. We have the lovely Morganic in studio here, and she's an expert in composting, especially the Bokashi kind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've talked about this a little bit before, but what's the breakdown? Are you losing some of the stuff that's in there? Like in regular composting, a lot of it goes out as CO2 because the bacteria breathe in oxygen and produce CO2. But you're in a closed system, airtight bucket. So give us a rundown on how this thing works again.
You're actually going to maintain all of the nutrients that you put into the bucket. You're also going to maintain all of the moisture that you put into the bucket. So again, you're not adding water, you're not turning it, and you're not losing any of those nutrients. In an outdoor compost pile, you got to water it constantly, you got to turn it, it gets hot, and a lot of those nutrients get burned off. So at the end of the day, you're just basically putting in charred earth back into the soil. With Bokashi, you're putting in nutrition-rich, water-retentive goodness that you put directly into the soil, you cover it up, and it stays wet in the soil. And at that point, the nutrients are able to be absorbed by the plants on the cellular level. So it's ready to go food. Ready to go.
I love it. I'm going to put one of these systems under a rabbit cage. It's going to happen.
Totally.
It's going to happen. It's going to be like a little turn dial that allows the manure to drop into the bucket, just a little, just this little right in there. And that's the noise you're waiting for. I can see it. You're like, is he going to make the fart noise? He did. He made the fart noise.
Was it going to be the machine gun noise or the fart noise? And
Listen, I just turned 30, and I've still, like, my mom's like, are you ever going to grow up? Nope. Nope. That's it's a trap. Don't ever grow up. But anyway, so I'm jealous because New Zealand is one of those places I really want to check out because I am a Lord of the Rings nerd. I mean, I don't know everything about everything in the show, but I really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful landscape. And now, we were talking before about the earthquakes, and I don't think it really got reported here that New Zealand was hit so hard. But what did you see there?
But I saw destruction. I mean, we're talking years after the earthquakes. The most recent was 2011. It looked like a bomb had gone off. I mean, There were still sections of downtown Christchurch that you couldn't even access. Barricades, big cranes, construction going on. Now, any construction that's going on in that area, you can't build any taller than, I believe, 1 story.
Really?
They just built this huge stadium, which of course is taller than that. I mean, it's a hazard. It's a big deal to build in that type of environment.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that they were so volatile there. I mean, the island that's not an island that was formed by a volcano. That's not like that. I mean, that's a pretty large. Yeah, this is where I'm geographically challenged.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know this either, but just up and over the hill, you're basically at the base of a lake, and that is actually the mouth of an old volcano.
Really?
So the islands were formed because of volcanic activity.
Okay.
So the landscape is constantly moving. The Southern Alps, if there were to be no erosion whatsoever, the Southern Alps would grow 20 meters in a year. I mean, that's a ton.
They grow 20 meters. That's
a lot
ridiculous.
Of geologic activity.
Yeah. No wonder. Yeah, I don't think I'd build a house much taller than 5 foot tall.
No.
I'm just kidding. I need a little bit taller than that. I am a short person, but not that short. Anyway, so how do people get a hold of your awesome products?
Well, I'm based in Tempe.
Okay.
You can always check me out at my website, BokashiEvolution.com. And, I'm here. I'm here to go into schools and to visit businesses and to go into your backyard and show you this awesome technique.
That's cool. So you're doing consulting then. You're going
Sure.
You're going to the individuals. Now, do you have any events coming up where people can come listen to you talk or anything like that that's on the docket? Or is that something that you and I need to organize?
Yeah, we do need to organize that. In fact, Earth Day is coming up. Who wants me to come to the Earth Day event?
Hey, there you go. So any teachers out there, any principals, if you can handle listening to our kinds of humor. If I remember right, my principal wasn't always that fond of it. At least he was able to fake that he didn't like it. Anyway, no, that's what we're all about. You know, independence is not just an idea of, oh yeah, well I got my rifle, so I'm independent. No, independence is taking control of your livelihood. Grab a hold of your food, your fuel, your medicine. And food, that's 90% of the battle right there. If you have your food locked down, you know where it's coming from, you've got a good supply of it, you can produce your own, you're independent. And we were talking a little bit about rabbits earlier, and I'm sorry I won't be able to get through the entire Rabbits 101 class, if you will. But the bottom line is, you know, raise rabbits, raise quail, raise fish, get a hold of your food supply, and you will be independent. Now, composting is a big part of that because when you have animals, you have waste. And if you have neighbors and you have waste, you have problems. So a nice closed system that, you know, if you're smelling it, you're losing nutrients. Mm-hmm. So you don't want that. And now, what is the name of the microbials that you're putting in there? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Effective microorganisms.
Effective microorganisms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've got a team of them in there.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is phototrophic bacteria, lactic acid, and yeast. And phototrophic bacteria has been basically we get to thank them for oxygenating our atmosphere.
Really?
Right? Thank you.
Wow. Yes. Thank you, little bugs. I heart you and the air that I'm breathing.
It's a very, very, very old bacteria. So it exists in healthy soils. So we're basically putting that right into our bucket. We're letting it grow and flourish and thrive. And then we're putting that directly into our, you know, really nutrient deficient, organic matter void soil.
Which is Arizona. Anybody who's ever tried to plant anything, just so you know, the statewide average on soil is, I believe, 8.5 pH, which is pretty dang alkaline. It's really hard to grow stuff in that.
You gotta give it your waste. It wants your waste. And majority of what you throw away is food.
Yep.
40% of our landfills are filled with food.
Now, has anybody tried using this stuff on like grass clippings and other organic waste? And how's the outcome? Yeah, how does it work? Does it work okay on that stuff?
Well, really, it all depends on. In permaculture, everyone says, "Well, it depends."
Okay.
Which sounds like something else, but.
Did we just really go to old people diapers? High five. Yes. Awesome. Okay.
I knew we were going to go there.
Anyway, so it depends on the feedstock. I mean, are they hungry for protein, like these little guys? Are they hungry for proteins, or are they wanting sugars, or they want a balanced diet?
You want diversity.
Diversity.
Okay. Always in nature, diversity. Put as many diverse things. So diversify your diet, diversify the inputs you put into your soil, the healthier plants are going to be.
Perfect. Well, that is a good finishing note. Check us out on the website, WeGrowOurs.com. And what's your website again? One more time?
BokashiEvolution.com.
BokashiEvolution.com. Check her out. Check us out. Get on the Facebook.com/WeGrowOurs. Give us a like. Tell us what you thought. Tell us what you didn't like, what you did like. And, have a good one.